Hello, everyone. In this video, we are going to talk about the top 10 cloud native ERP systems in 2025. So let's dive right in.
Growing a business requires a holistic approach that extends beyond sales and marketing. This approach needs alignment among people, processes, and technologies. So if you're a business owner, operations, or finance leader looking to learn growth strategies from your peers and competitors, you're tuned into the right podcast. Welcome to the WBS Podcast, where scalable growth using business systems is our number one priority. Now, here is your host, Sam Gupta.
My name is Sam Gupta. I am principal at Elevate IQ. Elevate IQ is the independent vendor agnostic technology advisory firm. We help our clients with change management, system selection, digital transformation strategy. On that note, let's go back to today's topic, which is the top 10 cloud native ERP systems in 2025. Before we look at the list, let's touch on how we define cloud native ERP systems. And in this particular case, this list is more about the technology. If a system or the vendor is going to be technically superior, they generally rank higher on this list. Sometimes these cloud native systems may not be as functionally rich, but some companies prefer the cloud native experience, the cloud native technology. So some of the systems you might be familiar with just because of their legacy background, they might not rank on this list just because they don't necessarily have the cloud native technologies or cloud native architecture. But again, this is just one variable. Sometimes just companies prefer this particular variable. That's why we are producing this list. It does not mean that the other cloud systems are not going to be as good as these are. So some more comments here. Overall, when you look at this list, we are combining all sizes as well as all industries. So again, pay close attention to my commentary as I talk about each of the systems because they might outshine others in specific industries or specific size segments. The criteria that we have used to compile this list is product share acquisition strategy. If the acquisitions are going to be focused on the cloud native aspect, then we generally rank them higher. And then product roadmap, community, ecosystem, win rate, technology strategy, and investors. So these are some of the variables. And now let's look at the list. Number 10 on our list is Plex. And Plex, if you're not familiar with the system, they started as cloud native. There were very few systems in the market that started as cloud native. And now, if you look at the last 20, 25 years since these cloud native technologies have been there in the market, when Plex started, a lot of ERP vendors did not believe in the cloud. They did not feel that the cloud is going to be so mainstream, especially for the financial as well as the ERP systems. And that's why some of the other vendors did not consider cloud for their migration early on when Plex started. Plex dominated in certain micro verticals and they take very unique approach to their technology. So overall, from the technology perspective, even though it is cloud native, now it might come across as slightly legacy, even though they are going to be cloud native just because they started 25 years back. And it's very hard to innovate unless you are investing a lot in your R&D budget just for the cloud native nature. So Plex may be a little bit legacy now. Just one more point related to where we are overall from the technology spectrum as of today, even though we are ranking the cloud native systems right now, but there might be changes because of AI. AI is going to change the way we interact with these systems. So there may be a possibility that the cloud native factor may not be as relevant in the future. But again, it's very early to predict at this point of time. So the cloud native experience is still very relevant until these systems come up with these AI features that is going to make the whole cloud native aspect irrelevant. But until then, these cloud native systems are definitely going to have slight edge overall from the technology perspective. So now with Plex, I don't know how much R&D budget they are going to have overall from the AI perspective. They have not made any sort of announcement in how they are going to invest in innovating their roadmap. In general, Plex is owned by Rockwell Automation, so it does not get as much attention as the other systems for whom the software is going to be the bread and butter. For the most part, Rockwell Automation acquired Plex just because they wanted to sell a lot more hardware control systems. That is their primary business model. So they have done some things with Plex, but it's just not as exciting as some of the other systems as well as the vintage. The approach that Plex took, which is also very unique compared to the other systems. So Plex was very MES first ERP system, and there are very few systems in the market that were really MES first. And this whole MES aspect was very common and prevalent in the automotive vertical automotive sector. That's why Plex dominated a very specific ecosystem. They had compliance built pre-baked, some of the compliance requirements pre-baked for for example, let's say Toyota as well as Ford ecosystem. So you are going to get a lot more last mile functionality baked and inbuilt as part of Plex. So that's where you are going to save a lot more from the implementation perspective. But because of that, you also are constraining yourself with these boilerplate that are going to be relevant in these ecosystems. And if your business model is going to be slightly more complex, diverse, then you might run into challenges. So that's about Plex. It's a great cloud native system, and it's number 10. Number 9 on our list is Odoo. And Odoo started as cloud native system. It's fairly a new system in the market. They are open source, but not all of the components of their software are going to be open source. It's very cloud native system in general. The way the UX is, it's very modern. So you are going to get the real cloud native experience, even from the perspective of mobile. Some systems claim that they are cloud native, but from the mobility perspective, they might not be as cloud native just because they simply ported the whole cloud code base. But when you look at the mobile capabilities, they might not be as cloud native. But in general, Odoo is a cloud native system, and with Odoo, the right fit for Odoo would be if you are going to be a startup that is outgrowing QuickBooks, you are going to get much more from the Odoo's perspective. And Odoo is also localized and globalized in several countries. So in general, if you are going to be a startup that is present or doing business in multiple countries and you are looking to consolidate your financial footprint, a little bit of operational footprint, that's where Odoo is going to be the right fit. The challenge that you are going to run into with Odoo is with slightly more advanced, mature transactions, they are not as baked as inbuilt as part of Odoo. And the reason for that is because they are trying to simplify their model and they are trying to make it friendly for the companies that are going to be startups that don't have as much implementation budget. If you look at their price point, that is fairly low. So you are going to get much more value from Odoo's perspective. But in general, Odoo does not have those mature ERP capabilities that you are going to find in slightly more mature systems. For example, Acumatica NetSuite, they are going to be the next tier of the systems that are going to have a lot more capabilities when you are going to be advanced in your transactions. For example, costing, inventory, as well as the MRP, etc. When you get into these advanced scenarios, obviously Odoo is going to claim that they have all of those capabilities as well. But the devil is always going to be in details, and that's where Odoo is not going to have those advanced transactions that are going to be part of the model for Acumatica, NetSuite, Sage Intacct, etc. But Odoo is a great fit for companies that are outgrowing QuickBooks and they are looking for slightly simpler system without much implementation budget. That's where Odoo could be a great fit. So that's number 9. Number 8 on our list is Sage Intacct. And Sage Intacct also started as more of the cloud native system. So they have not rewritten this code. They were always cloud native. Even before Sage acquired them, they were among very few cloud native systems that started as cloud native architecture. Overall, Sage Intacct's position is going to be in service sectors. That's where they have a lot more IP built as part of the core. When you are looking at industries such as your construction, not-for-profit, SaaS, tech, for these companies, you are going to find much more value with Sage Intacct. The other things with Sage Intacct is the whole accounting and finance workflows are far more built. It's also localized and globalized in many different countries. So if you are going to be a global startup and looking for that financial core, that's where Sage Intacct is going to be a great fit. The challenge that you have with Sage Intacct is the inventory centric layers or the product layers. They are not as built and they rely on add-ons for that. In general, they don't like to position this in the product centric verticals, but we have seen cases where some companies have either used or they have sold to product centric companies as well. So that's where you might run into challenges with the inventory procurement, etc. For service centric industries, that's not a problem. So overall, if you're looking for a cloud native system for service centric verticals, Sage Intacct could be a great system, and that's number 8. Number 7 on our list is IFS. And IFS would be slightly more legacy system. They have re-architected the whole code base. So now if you look at their UI, if you look at their demo, it does come across as cloud native. And they are probably one of the companies that have invested substantially in cloud modernization. That some of the other companies, they have done it, but it's just not as modern. So some of the things from the IFS perspective, even though it is cloud native, it might not be fit for all of different industries. The core positioning of IFS is going to be for mid to large, upper mid size, or the enterprise companies. That's where IFS really shines. The secret sauce for IFS is going to be for the industries where you are going to find a lot more asset-centric capabilities or the field service-centric capabilities, the project-centric capabilities are baked and inbuilt. So the industries that you are looking at from the IFS perspective, it could be oil and gas, energy, telecom, communication, all of these industries, IFS is very well adopted, very well proven in those spaces. And so IFS, again, could be a great system for these industries if you're looking for the cloud native experience. And that's number 7. Number 6 on our list is Acumatica. And Acumatica is another system that started as more of the cloud native experience. They have not rewritten. It started as more of the cloud native system. The differentiator for Acumatica is they can accommodate a lot more business models as part of the same product with other vendors. What you are going to notice is even if they are going to have additions for different industries, they are going to have different databases underneath. They are going to have different code bases. So essentially, those are just different products bundled as addition. With Acumatica, the way the architecture is designed, all of these additions are going to be part of the same database, same core. So you will find a lot more synergies across these business models. And it's not going to be a very siloed experience. It's going to be very immersive experience inside Acumatica instance. Now, the challenges that you are going to run into with Acumatica is Acumatica is designed for smaller companies that might not be present in a lot of countries. For example, let's say you are in US, Canada, North American companies, then Acumatica could be a great fit. They have localizations, either partner owned or owned by them in some other countries as well. At least the developed countries, 5, 6, 10, they might have that. But for the most part, Acumatica is designed for that localized experience where your base currency is going to be one. You are probably going to have one chart of account. When you look for your operational financial synergies in the global mode, that's where Acumatica might not be the best fit. Acumatica could be beneficial from their consumption-based pricing perspective as well. If your transaction volume is going to be lower, their pricing generally is going to be lower than some of the other systems. So in those cases, you might find Acumatica to be a superior fit. But overall, Acumatica is a great cloud-native system if you care for that experience, and that's number 6. Number 5 on our list is SAP S/4HANA Cloud. And in this particular case, this is the cloud native system. SAP has also rewritten this completely from scratch. They have the on-prem version, but they have the cloud version as well. And this one is completely cloud native, meaning it has been rewritten completely. And because of that, sometimes people argue that SAP cloud version does not have as much functionality as their on-prem variant, because it's a very different technology, very different architecture. So you are not going to find the same experience that you had with on-prem. So it requires rewiring your business processes, change in the mindset, the way you always thought about SAP and what it could offer as part of the suite, as part of the box. With cloud, that experience is going to be different, but SAP does have the cloud native product. For the most part, SAP's focus, when you look at their design and the architecture and the design philosophy, they emphasize more on the technical aspect of the system, which means you are going to get a lot more platform-centric features. But then when you look at the operational capabilities or the industry-specific layers, they rely on partners to build and provide. So SAP does have very large ecosystem, but then you are adding some of the add-ons to be able to get those capabilities from partners as well. It's just a different mindset, different philosophy, different product, and depending upon what you care for. Sometimes because of too many vendors, you do increase the implementation risk, but that is not always true. It all varies depending upon which vendor you are dealing with, which add-on you are dealing with. But SAP S/4HANA is a great cloud native system if you care for that, and that's number 5. Number 4 on our list is Oracle Cloud ERP. And Oracle Cloud ERP has invested a lot on their cloud native experience. They have invested substantially, even though it's going to be a re-architected system from their legacy roots. Now you do have very cloud native system that Oracle is able to offer. Overall, from their design philosophy perspective, you are going to get a lot more capabilities as part of Oracle Cloud ERP compared to, for example, let's say if you compare this SAP, S/4HANA, Oracle has a lot more operational capabilities baked as part of their product in their cloud native product. For the most part, when you compare SAP S/4HANA, Oracle Cloud ERP, they are meant for slightly larger companies. You are looking at upper mid-market enterprise companies. That's where it is very well proven. The price point that you are going to get from the licensing implementation perspective, it's probably going to be very expensive in general. So for mid-market companies, they might not be as friendly overall. So with Oracle Cloud ERP, the technology is most certainly going to be cloud native, and that's number 4. Now, number 3 on our list is Microsoft Dynamics 365 finance and operations. And Microsoft Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations is a very rich, mature product designed for very large enterprises. The smaller mid-sized companies don't necessarily need all of those enterprise layers. When you look at the layers for approval, layers for financial processes, you just don't need all of that for mid-market companies. So for the most part, the F&O product, and now they call this as supply chain management. They have rebranded, but the underlying product is still very finance and operations, and that is just a marketing change. So this particular product is going to be very similar to your SAP S/4HANA, Oracle Cloud ERP, very well adopted in those global installations, global footprint, and they have invested substantially overall with their cloud native infrastructure. So for the most part, the product is going to provide very cloud native experience. Now, from the Microsoft perspective, some of the pluses that you are looking at is their ecosystem is really large. So you are going to find industry-specific functionality in their ecosystem, and overall, it's designed for very highly customizable workloads. So if your business processes are not necessarily as standardized, in general, that's the case with the service-centric companies. With product-centric companies, the transactions that you have, they are fairly standardized in nature. So you don't have that problem in the product-centric industries. It's also localized and globalized in many countries where some of the other systems might not even be present in those countries. Microsoft would be a great fit, because either you are going to have very mom and pop sort of ERP systems, or you are going to have a mainstream ERP system just like this. So obviously you have the vendor credibility there in general, but you might find a lot more deeper functionality, a localized functionality with those mom and pop systems. But if you care for mainstream vendor, then this could be a great fit, and that's number 3. Number 2 on our list is another system from Microsoft, and that is Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. Business Central has very similar philosophy as F&O as well. The only difference between F&O and Business Central is a slightly more SMB product. F&O is the large enterprise product from Microsoft. When you look at Business Central, it does have the cloud native layers. So it has been completely re-architected from their legacy version. Nav is what they used to call. Now the Business Central is completely cloud native, but overall, operationally speaking, or for the operational functionality, it is going to have very deep ERP layers, but it's not going to have as deep operational layers, especially when you look at some of the complex verticals. For example, manufacturing. You might not have as much manufacturing functionality built and baked as part of Business Central, but then you would need a lot more add-ons. So that's a challenge that you're going to run into with Business Central. But if you are looking for a cloud native system that is going to have localization and presence in many countries, and where other systems might not be present, then Business Central could be a great cloud native system as well. And that's number 2. Now, number 1 on our list is NetSuite. And NetSuite is a cloud native system. Again, this is among many other systems that were that started as cloud native. So they have not rewritten this. But at the same time, when NetSuite started, at that time, the technology, even the cloud native technologies, were slightly legacy. So overall, when you look at their UX and UI, you are going to get slightly legacy feeling, even though NetSuite has come up with their modern UX as well. So they might have improved a little bit overall from their cloud native experience. But among the cloud native systems, if you look at the UX as well as the experience, it might not be as modern as some of the other systems. For example, let's say if you look at Acumatica, Sage Intacct, they look prettier than NetSuite in general, but depending upon what you really care for. But NetSuite is definitely a cloud native system. Overall, when you look at the fit for NetSuite, it does have the global localization in many different countries. It has very deep financial layers. It might not have as rich operational layers for many different industries, and that's where it is going to rely on add-ons for those operational layers. So that does increase the implementation complexity a little bit. Overall, NetSuite is also one of the most expensive product, even though they have some offers that are going to come across as very affordable, but for the most part, once you advance in those tiers, as well as from their pricing perspective, it does end up being one of the most expensive system in a general. So be super careful when you are evaluating NetSuite, because there is a chance that you might get surprise bills later on. Initially, they are going to quote even their professional services fee as well as the licensing fee to be lower. So you need to be careful there. But if you are looking for a cloud native system that is going to have presence in many countries and very well adopted, then NetSuite could be a great system. And that's number one. If you enjoyed this video, this is also available in the audio form on major podcasting platform. So you might want to check there. We publish these videos on a weekly basis. So if you have not subscribed on our YouTube channel, you might want to do that. On that note, thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the WBS Podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. For more information on growth strategies for SMBs using ERP and digital transformation, check out our community at WBS.rocks. We'll see you next time.